Technology, diversity, wine, the redwoods, and everything in between. Welcome to the Northern California Bay Area, and one show takes you inside the real estate that makes it all happen. This is By the Bay.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Dan and Chetta back here with another episode of By the Bay. Appreciate you being here and joining us. Please do make sure you're following us and subscribed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're watching this or listening. And I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of the audience. It means a lot to us that you are here. And please do leave a comment so we can respond to any questions you have. But without further ado, let's jump into this week's show. My guest today is a great friend of mine, Lindsey Ehrlicher Styles from the Ehrlicher Styles Group at Engel Volkers Real Estate. Easy for you to say.
You did it.
I did it.
You did it.
I think I did that too when Eva was on the show. I nailed the intro, which is always a good start.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a good start, but it's a lot.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
What's going on? You guys play in a pretty specific market, right?
We do.
So for the audience that don't know you, introduce yourself and kind of tell us what part of real estate you're playing in, where you sell, who you work with, those types of questions.
I love it. Just diving right in.
Just dive right in.
Dive right in. Okay, here we go. So it's myself and then my husband, Ryan Styles, who you know, of course,
yes,
and Eva, who did a fantastic job.
So refer back to that show. It was a great one.
Refer back to that show. It was a great one. So we are a team of 3. We also have a transaction coordinator that works with us, along with Bianca Bruce, who you also know. You know all of our people.
She was another past guest on the show.
Guest.
One of my favorite people,
yep,
Bianca.
She's amazing.
She is.
She's our business and branding strategist. So she helps us with the marketing, social media, website stuff, really high-end properties. She jumps in all different facets for our business, and she is
So you have like a whole operation.
We have a whole operation.
Which is that's a business choice.
It is.
Right? Because there's so many different ways to be a real estate professional, a realtor,
Absolutely,
or however else you want to be designated.
Yep.
And there's solo people, there's teams and groups and all sorts of other things. So you've decided to go full group plus outside support.
Outside support, yes, it's worth the investment. It's for not only for us, it's for our clients.
Right.
It's for our properties. It's for our brand.
Is that because you're dealing with a certain type of kind of buyer and seller? Is there
Sure. Yes, of course. We like to give that level, that caliber of service to everybody, though, whether you're buying a condo or you're buying a $5 million home, we want to deliver those same results to you. That $5 million home is going to yield more time, more energy, more effort, of course, but we really like to give everyone the red carpet, 5-star extraordinary experience. We strive truly for being extraordinary. There was a quote, I'm just now thinking of this. I don't remember how long it was now. It was probably back in 2015 that said, in real estate, in time to come, you can no longer be good. You can no longer be great. If you are not extraordinary at what you do in time, you're not going to make it.
I think that's absolutely true.
At first was like, oh my gosh, I'm great. I don't know that I'm extraordinary. This was, like I said, I think it was 2015.
Right.
But that stuck with me and has never left me, that if you are not extraordinary, you're out in our industry. So every move we make, everything we do, we're always thinking, is this extraordinary? Is this the most extraordinary way to deliver, to do something, to strategize? It's the forefront of how we operate.
That's like the heart and soul of the operation.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing?
I don't know how I got on that tangent.
No, I love it. No, it's a great start. So I think it actually leads into the kind of conversation of the types of clients no one's going to turn away business.
Right.
But where is your focus in terms of who you're marketing to, who you're attracting in terms of buyers and sellers?
Sure.
It's higher end luxury type properties.
Absolutely. Right. Yes. And we cover kind of a wide variety in terms of geographical. So we're pretty much north of the Golden Gate from Healdsburg to, let's say, Sausalito. That's kind of our area. We are always very upfront with our clients that we obviously live and breathe Sonoma County. So if we're going to Marin County or another county, we're happy to do so. Just want to make sure that people are totally aware of where we are logistically. And we have partners all over the North Bay, all over the world, actually, to be honest, that we can partner with to make sure that we are doing the very best extraordinary job that we can.
Right.
But yes, we are working with, typically we're working with high-income buyers, high-income sellers, luxury properties. Larkspur, we were just chatting about that beautiful property for 2.370. We just lowered too.
Okay.
Properties in Healdsburg, and luxury doesn't mean price point.
Right.
You can have a luxurious, very luxurious $1 million home, and you can have a very luxurious $10 million home. So price point is just a piece of the luxury pie. Luxury is so open to what you want and who you are and what you're striving for. And those are the details that we love to find out from our clients.
Super luxurious 1,000 square foot
Absolutely.
cottage, one block off of the Healdsburg Plaza.
Yep. We have sold a ton of those.
Yeah,
that's luxury.
For
and
sure.
so is a $20 million, 20,000 square foot, 12 bathroom, that whole thing is also luxury.
Mini Versailles somewhere is totally fine as well.
And we work with a lot of, I would say, most of what we do, we are helping sellers move up or move down or just maybe transition to another part of the county, the state, whatever that may be. So someone who has maybe too big of a home and they need to buy something a little bit smaller, or the opposite, they have a smaller home and they want to move up a little bit to something more spacious.
So in that luxury space, specifically thinking about those types of properties, what are the trends? What are the trends that you're seeing right now? Has that been impacted as much as maybe the entry level kind of first time buyer type properties?
Sure.
What are you seeing in that particular portion of the real estate stock?
Yeah, great question. Typically, luxury properties get hit, kind of first when there's any kind of a downturn, a slowdown, a recession, whatever you want to call it. But that's more of the really high end luxury properties. If we're talking the $1 to $3 million range, they slow down for sure, but they're definitely making a little bit of a comeback right now with rates down a little bit and the marketplace kind of calm and realizing this is the new normal. This is where we are. The 2% interest rates are gone and probably not coming back for a very long time,
not anytime
if
soon,
ever.
Unfortunately. Actually, I say at the back, probably fortunately.
Probably fortunately.
I don't think that was
realistic.
healthy.
It's not healthy. It was not real. It was not good. Thank goodness that it actually wasn't short term. It was quite long term, to be honest. Kind of digressed a little bit. But yes, the higher end properties, they can get hit a little bit harder when interest rates are tough, or when the world is tough, the economy is tough. Right.
And those luxury properties, in my experience, are impacted a little bit more because of the high net worth individual might have substantial holdings in stock and other types of things, which are being impacted.
Absolutely.
When there's a hard financial kind of recession or things that look like a recession potentially.
Yeah, they're taking their time. They're diving into the economy and the market.
We've had some clients that had a ton of holdings in, Facebook stock or restricted stock units in whatever the tech company is they work for, and they lost 50% of their portfolio value over 6 months.
Right.
And that they were all looking at buying a second home or a vacation property or something like that, and they all kind of press pause for a few minutes.
Absolutely.
Which makes total sense when there's uncertainty to be like, maybe not spending
$10 million
right now.
Yeah.
And in this case, it was like about $1 million out of pocket. It's like, maybe I should keep that liquidity for now.
Absolutely. But
that's a temporary thing.
It's temporary. It comes back. But the $1 to $3 million market doesn't change a whole heck of a lot that we have seen yet.
For your buyers in that tribe, where do they come from? Are they local people that are upsizing, downsizing? Are they coming in from out of the area? What is the trend that you're seeing?
The common misconception, I think, is that they're coming in from out of the area. And sure, they are. Most of them, believe it or not, are local.
They're already here.
Yeah, they're already here. They're shaking things up. They're moving around. They want a bigger yard. They want a bigger house. They want that bathroom and bedroom on the main level. Whatever the reason is, they are movers and shakers in our own community. I would say that's probably 70%. The other 30, yes, they're coming from outside Bay Area, another state, something like that. But yeah, most of them are local.
That's surprising. Honestly, it surprises me because the narrative that we hear is everyone's coming from the Bay Area to, infiltrate our community and change everything forever. And it's like, well, no, 70% of the people that you're helping are already here.
Absolutely.
Established here. Kids go to school here, working here. already shop at the local grocery store, all that
Yep,
stuff, and they're
correct.
just going from one house to the other.
Correct. I know. It's strange for sure.
It's encouraging in a way.
It is.
It means that they're able to continue to stay in the area.
Right.
Where I see potential issues down the line is that seems to be a missing subsection of housing for first-time home buyers to keep them here, and they're having to go further out to have affordability.
Right.
Once you're here and you've established you've grown equity in your current home,
You're
easier
okay.
to totally.
Correct.
But breaking into the market is a little hard. So
It's hard.
What advice are you giving to your buyers who maybe be in that position?
Sure. Patience, just like having children or having pets. Patience, a lot of patience, a lot of real raw conversations about what it looks like to be a buyer in Sonoma County, what it looks like to be a first-time buyer, what it looks like to be in a price point that's really challenging. Say the 600 range is quite difficult. So it's just communication, it's education, and talking about the best ways we can put our foot forward. Aside from price, if they're maxed out, they're maxed out. There's nothing we can do about that. But there are other details and ways in the contract that we can really work hard to set ourselves apart. And then it's also our relationship with other realtors, our relationship with their lender.
Right.
It's the whole complete package, especially as a first-time buyer. Hopefully you have the right team behind you. The lender, the realtor, they're on the same page. Hopefully they work with one another. There's great synergy when those relationships are happening, and we can get our clients further by having that and establishing that at the ground floor.
I love that answer. It makes a lot of sense because we do our fair share of transactions, and overall customer satisfaction levels are highest when we work with a team that we've worked with in the past, that we have good rapport with. We kind of anticipate how each other work. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses. I know what type of conversations you're having with the buyer, and I know how to augment those to make those more impactful. And at the end of the day, they're much happier.
Absolutely.
As opposed to those deals that kind of get thrown together at the last second.
Yes.
And it's like, well, we're just chasing our tails and we'll get the deal done.
Right.
But I kick myself sometimes at the end because I'm like, I really want you to have that
extraordinary. Yes. Yeah.
Right. That extraordinary experience. And that takes planning. Right. Can you walk me through like your, like the presentation or the not the full thing, I guess, but like what are the most important things that you're conveying to your buyers and sellers right now about the current state of the market? I guess that's the question.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
Of course, it depends on the type of seller, the type of buyer, price point. Are they buying long-term, short-term, second home, vacation home? So the conversations definitely change depending on the subject. But just to give a general answer, we talk about what we're seeing in the marketplace. Like today, yesterday, tell them some stories. There's a property, I have to tell you this, it received 20 offers in Santa Rosa. Fixer on, it was a little over half an acre, beautiful views, beautiful part of Santa Rosa.
We had 2 of them, of those 20.
Oh, I was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know all
exactly.
the details.
No,
we can talk offline.
Yeah, talk offline. But we had
the details are outrageous.
Okay.
Outrageous.
Yes.
20 offers, so many hundreds of thousands over asking. It went.
Yes. I was
we
shocked.
were all cash. We were no contingencies, 7-day close. We were on the lower end of the price point, but they ended up taking an offer with all contingencies, very high offer, getting a loan, all that good stuff. So we like to tell our clients stories that are currently happening, not what happened 6 months ago, 6 weeks ago, even today, yesterday, what's going on, what's happening, what does it look like?
I think in the market right now that is, in flux, rates are yo-yoing up and down. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about rates in the 5s. Now they're back up in the 7s.
Right.
Like,
it's
so
nuts.
If your expectations when you fill out a loan application was that your loan's going to start with a 5, and now I'm saying, hey, we're ready to lock and it's 7%, that's going to shock someone.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So like
absolutely.
that constant communication about here's where we are today.
Right.
Right. In markets in the past where the rate's just been 3.5%, give or take an eighth. It's just going to kind of volley back and forth between there, flat for
years
6 months. Right. And it was just the same rate all the time. Easy to meet those expectations.
Yes.
Right now, it's like, it's so up and down. It's hard to, I think it's hard for a buyer, especially to go, my affordability this week is $900,000, and next week it's $825,
Right.
and next week it's $950, and the
Right.
week after that it's, because
It's
if you're a first-time home buyer and you're putting every penny that you can to it, and you're maxing out your ratios, and you're trying to get as much house as you can because you have future expectations of earnings growth or other things like that.
Right.
That's a hard box to fit into right now.
Very much.
Right.
It's emotional.
It's super emotional. That's
Mental,
you know
emotional. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. A lot for us and our clients.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the emotional management of a client, I think, is something I don't think we've talked about on the show. Interesting topic to get into because it is such an emotional time buying a house, selling a house, especially if you're selling for a hard reason, right? Like that emotional connection that you have with your sense of place and home and safety and all the other things that come with owning a home and establishing those things. I imagine from your perspective is an incredibly difficult aspect of the job.
Yeah, I mean, that's an understatement. Yes. But believe it or not, if you were to ask what would one of our strengths be, it's that we have a great way of working with all kinds of folks. We are chameleons. We can mold and change in a death, a divorce, just couples not getting along, family issues, siblings not speaking. I mean, we have heard it, seen it, dealt with it, been a part of it. And we're just naturally really good in those situations, Ryan and Eva and I. I know that might sound strange. I don't know how better to put it, but we are really good at working with those difficult, unique, emotional situations because that's really what's happening. You're buying a house or you're selling a house, yes, but it's the inner workings, all the in between. That's where the work is. We don't walk into a home and Vanna White it and say, look at these vaulted ceilings you want and these thick baseboards you're looking for. That's not what we do, not even close. It's all relationship based, and we are just working through the kinks and the issues that are being thrown our way on the fly, trying to get through it. What
you just said, I think, is a differentiating value proposition.
For sure.
And I think it's underappreciated, like the questions that you go in and ask. And I've challenged some of my partners to go in and say, like, before we even talk about how many bedrooms you're looking for in your next home, why are we even having this conversation?
Why? Yeah.
And
tell me what you dream of.
Change
what do you
the
want?
math. Well, like, what if they're someone passed away, or like you said, a divorce, or you're expecting a child, or whatever those things are. You have aging parents, and you're looking for multi-generational housing. There's a reason why you're choosing to pick up the phone and call you.
Yep.
And it's not because you want a fourth bedroom.
Right.
There's a reason why you want a fourth bedroom.
Correct.
The bedroom is not the reason. It's because, mom's moving in, and we need dedicated space for her.
Yep.
And if you can show people empathy and go, wow, I understand this is an entire lifestyle change to accommodate this person. I understand how important it is for you to have that separate space so that they feel independent and you have your own space, and it's kind of like two separate residences, but they need to be in your home for their safety.
Correct.
And like
finding all those details out.
How much more connected can you become with your clients if you just take those few minutes and have that empathetic conversation with them?
Yeah.
And I don't think that most people do.
I would say most do not. No, it's that phone call of, okay, what are you looking for? What kind of backyard? What's your price point? All of the typical questions that, sure, we get into down the road, maybe the next day, maybe the next week, who knows, depending on where the conversation goes. But it's about, who are you? What do you do for a living? Why do you do that? What do you love about it? What do you do in your free time? What's your family like? Is your family here? Is your family in another state? Why are you buying a house? Oh, you only want it for 2 years. Let's talk about that. Then you want to move out of state. Oh, you want it for 10 years. Let's talk about that. It's just diving into who people are. We're humans. We just got to dive in a little bit deeper. That's what it's about. However, you can tell on the phone when someone is like, they want to get to the point. So there's very little, you might get a little, what do you do for a living? Short and sweet. you move on. So we tailor every experience to what we're dealing with and what we're receiving back.
But probably you've been doing this for a while, and I imagine that your clients refer to you other clients that are like them.
Yes.
So you wind up getting a lot of like self-selection.
Yep.
And your referrals tend to be people who want that extra connection. And they
Correct.
want that emotional intelligence that's being brought into the transaction.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And I imagine that most of the referrals that you get are similar in that way.
We're very lucky. Yeah.
Right.
We're very lucky.
Right. So that's something that you've built intentionally over
Correct.
time. Where does this way of doing business differently, like where do you recall like when the switch turned on and you're like, oh, I need to do this differently? Have you always done it this way?
Yes. Always.
From the beginning?
From the beginning. Yep.
Where does that come from?
Honestly, this will make my mom and dad so proud. It comes from my parents teaching us when we were young, you go get a job and you don't just do your job, you do your job and you go above and beyond. And when you're done going above and beyond, you keep going. You just don't stop. That's the human you are. That's how we have raised you. That's how we want you to be. And all of my siblings, actually, I'm the baby of 5. We are, not to toot all of our horns, but we are all very successful and have climbed the ladders, the corporate ladders, whatever you want to call it, climbed the chain and the workforce. And we have done it from the ground up. When I was 16, my first job at The Gap, I worked at The Gap for 5.5 years as a younger teenager. And I won awards. I won all kinds of things for being either the youngest to achieve something, just because of having my parents instill in me, you do your very best. And when you're done doing that, do it some more and keep going. Obviously, we have our days, right? We have bad days, bad moods, grumpy, all that good stuff. We're not perfect, not striving for that. But it started from a young age of just who I want to be and how I want to operate as a human, as a person, as a friend, as a coworker, as a boss, as a business owner. It just comes naturally.
That's really cool.
To me.
So shout out to mom and dad.
Shout out to mom and dad. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so intentionally creating this business this way.
Yes.
From the ground up.
Yes.
Because how did you get started in real estate?
My mom actually was in real estate back in the day. And my brothers were both in finance and lending. So it's kind of in my blood, so to speak. It wasn't actually something I was really very interested in until the recession in 2008. And I got laid off from my job and was, in my late 20s. And it's like, okay, I got to really figure out, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? Where am I going to go? What does the next chapter of my life look like? And just kind of for fun, I'm like, you know what? I'll study for real estate. What do I have to lose? If I love it, great. If I don't, great. I'll find something else. And so I started literally from the ground up. I sometimes was laying on my parents' floor. I moved back into my parents' house, full disclosure. Sitting there on the floor, just shedding tears, trying to work my way through the real estate material and these books, because here I am, 28. I've never owned a home. I don't know what mortgage insurance means. I don't know what escrow means. I don't know any of this stuff. So I'm laying on the floor, tears are streaming down my face. I'm really loving this, but I'm really confused and I'm really challenged. And I've got my real estate dictionary that I still have, by the way. It's all bent and stained and everything, but it's like a memory for me. So I've got my textbooks, I've got my dictionary, and I'm going back and forth. What does this word mean? Going back to my textbook. And I just grew to love it. I couldn't really tell you why. It just resonated with me. I was interested. I was curious. And I had a lot of people, outside people, wondering, why am I getting into this? You're so young. It's a recession. You're not going to make it. Everyone's getting out of the business. No one's doing it anymore. No one's successful. I walked into my first office with my box of, stuff to decorate my desk at my cubicle. And there are literally people walking past me with their box of stuff, leaving the industry.
Wow.
Leaving. And so it was tough. It was a really hard first year for me. I got a lot of, I'll just say it, a lot of crap about what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm so silly. What am I thinking? I'm too young. I was very young in the industry then. Now I feel like it's more young than it is the experienced folks. But when I was getting into it, I was an anomaly to be 28 in real estate.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what kind
And
of
a female.
what? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could talk about that
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah. That's a whole nother one.
Yeah. What kept you driving towards like learning and growing and figuring out and carving out your own piece? Because you guys, I mean, to be at the level that you are is a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
I mean, like
it is.
top-
It really is.
top-
Thank you.
You know, I don't even know what percentage, but it's way up there, right? There's a ton of people that have the license and the ability
Yes.
to sell real
Many.
estate. Very, 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 very few reach the level that you and the group have
Correct.
achieved, right?
Correct.
So what kept you driving? All those obstacles, 2008, 2010, when you're getting just started, there wasn't much of a luxury. I mean, everything was so hard at
Depressing.
the time. I mean, it was hard. And
everything was depressed.
I mean, we bought a house in 2012 and we looked at, 75 houses, maybe more. And people were ripping copper out of the walls and taking sledgehammers to the kitchen. And it was a dark time. It was
Very dark.
really bad.
Very
really,
dark.
really bad. Good people lost houses, nice, like families getting kicked. I mean, that's such a hard place to start.
Yes.
What kept you going?
I kind of think all those pieces, the compassion, it was like, well, wait, can I help? Can I change? Can I do something? Can I give back? So I got started. There were truly no traditional sales to be done.
Right. It's all short
I got
sales.
licensed in 2010. So I was like, okay, I got to dive right into short sales, loan modifications. I helped a gentleman to this day. Be so fun if he listened to this podcast. I got him a loan modification on a condo in Rohnert Park that changed his life, and he still owns that condo. To this day, he'll still send me emails every few years like, God bless you, thank you, I can't believe what you did for me. So it was just, can I do something? Can I help serve? Can I find a way? And of course, I need to make an income too and a living. A lot of that did not make me a living, and that was okay because I knew it would lead to future business. This gentleman that I just spoke about, he has sent me tons of business because of what I did for him. I didn't get paid from him, but I've gotten paid in other ways that have to do with him.
You did the right thing, and those things come back around.
Absolutely. So I came from that place and thinking of, God, how much good could I do? How far could I get? And, good juju, it comes back to you. It's, that's not why I did it, but I knew I'm a good person. I want to do something amazing for what is going on and what I'm seeing. So I dove right into short sales where you pull your hair out, your eyeballs out. They take a year plus, 18 months, 2 years. It was a whole thing, but that's where I learned. That's where I grew. I made very little money my first few years in real estate. But like I said, I wasn't doing it for the money at that point. I was doing it to just see where is this going to go and can I make a difference? And now here I am. It's truly from those moments.
So in hindsight, maybe it was the best thing that could have happened.
Absolutely.
Was to get in at that time when it was
I wouldn't
super
change
hard.
it. Yep.
And maybe that's similar to today where, there's fewer transactions, there's less inventory. It's just harder today than it was 2 years ago to be in real estate on your side and my side of the house. And, I have some younger, newer loan officers that work for me. And I tell them this, like, hey, if you can make it in this market, at a 28-year low in mortgage applications, 28 years. So like even the people who've been doing this for 20 years have never seen this.
Yeah.
So, putting that in context, if you're building a business today, either as a real estate professional or on the mortgage side or lots of other industries, I think fall into this category. If you can do the daily disciplines and do all the hard work and do the stuff that's not going to make you any money today, but pays off in the long run, if you can do that and piece it together now, you can survive any market.
Yep. You can do anything. You will make it and be extraordinary. That's what makes and breaks, I feel like, the good, the great, the extraordinary, right there.
I think that's the name of this episode. It's like
the good, the great, the extraordinary.
That's it.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. And there's nothing wrong with being good. Good is good. Great is great. But it's just how I operate. It's how we operate. I can't shake it.
And that's clear. right? That's clear. Like look at your marketing, look at the way that you address the market, look at the way that you position your houses. Like just the professionalism that you bring is amazing. And it makes sense that you have a loyal following of clients and people who refer to you. There's a statistic I've quoted on the show a few times, like, I forget the numbers exactly, but the vast majority of people, if you go back, that have recently done a real estate transaction, you revisit them 6 months later, you ask them, what was the name of your realtor and what was the name of your lender?
They don't know.
Can't tell you.
No idea.
That's how bad we are as an industry of making an impression. We settle for the good. We settle for the okay.
Right.
We settle for done.
Right.
As opposed to done's not good enough. Closing is not good enough.
We're going to keep going.
It has to be extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
Even after the deal is done.
That's what we want. We want people reaching out asking, who do you recommend for a hairstylist? Who do you recommend for this, that? Where do we go for this kind of food? We want that. We want to be that resource for our clients and our community.
I love that.
Yeah, we want the long term.
We're going to wrap up, but I have one last kind of question for you. We're springtime buyer season is about to start.
Oh, yes.
What do you think is going to happen the rest of the year?
I think it's going to be a gangbusters year, the rest of 2023, with a little bit more of a roller coaster ride. For us, 2022 was gangbusters and it never stopped. And it was pretty flat and in a good way.
For the entire year of 2022?
For the entire year of 2022.
Okay, now that speaks to how extraordinary
we
you
were
are, because
just
for most people,
insane.
It died off in April, May.
No.
We
had none of that.
Okay.
None of that. So I think 2023 will be similar in terms of the craziness, but we're just going to have more of a roller coaster ride where it's going to be up, it's going to be down, it'll be slow, and then it will be busy. So that just means a little more hand-holding, a little more communication, education on what's going on and what we're seeing. I think it's going to be a really strong, really busy year with lots of peaks and valleys.
So for the clients, don't try to time it.
Don't try to time it.
Because it's going to be up and down.
I don't think you can time it.
Rates are going to be up and down. Therefore, prices will go up and down.
Correct.
So
it's a holistic approach. Believe it or not, we look at weather. We'll look out at weather. When do we come on the market? What's the weather look like? We look at everything because all those pieces, they do actually matter. It's not just interest rates. The consumer is far too focused on interest rate. Even sellers, what's the interest rate? Let's just set that aside. That is a conversation, but let's put that over here in a little box and let's talk about all of this. And then we'll go back to that because that is not the end all be all most important piece to this whole pie.
There's probably a couple of columns, like two columns, things you can control and things you can't. You can't control the weather. You can't control the interest rates.
Correct.
You can't control these other things. You can control how your house looks and is staged, how it's marketed, how it's presented, who represents you, who's negotiating on your behalf. Like there's a long list of things you can control.
Yeah. So let's
focus on those things.
Yeah, let's talk about that and then talk about all the other things and figure out how to match them all together.
Love that.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's going to be a great year.
I'm going to have you back and I want to do a deep dive. Maybe we'll do like a special episode just about like how do you create that extraordinary experience.
Fun. I love that.
Let's do that.
I love
That'd
that.
Be fun. How do people, we'll put this in the show notes and stuff, but how do people get a hold of you if they have questions about, real estate, want to meet or talk?
Absolutely. Cell phone is probably the best. 707-718-2116. Of course, social media, Googling, you can probably stalk us pretty easily if you so choose.
It's just spelling Ehrlicher.
Ehrlicher, I know. It's a really tough.
We'll put that in the notes so people don't have to guess.
Right. It's a tough one.
Lindsey, so good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Right. See you soon.
Thanks.
Stay up to date with Bay Area real estate. Hit subscribe now if you haven't already. Did you enjoy this episode? We love reviews in the Apple Podcasts app. We'll read yours on the show. This is By the Bay.
London Ear Media.